Strength is not measured by how many people surround you, applaud you, or agree with you. Strength is revealed when the applause fades, when the crowd disappears, and when you find yourself standing in silence with no one but your own breath as company. Many fear this silence, for it strips away distractions and forces them to face themselves. Yet it is here, in aloneness, that real strength emerges. To be alone is not to be weak, it is to confront life without crutches. You discover that you are capable of carrying your own weight, that you do not need constant validation to feel whole. This revelation is the beginning of unshakable power. When you are alone, you begin to face challenges without leaning on others for solutions. You learn resourcefulness. You discover that your mind is sharper than you once believed, your resilience deeper than you imagined. In aloneness, every problem becomes an opportunity to cultivate inner discipline. Without the noise of opinions and the influence of others, your decisions become your own. You learn to trust yourself. This is true strength, not borrowed from someone else, but rising from within you like a flame that no storm can extinguish. Aloneness refines this inner fire and teaches you to walk confidently on your own path. Many run from solitude because they confuse it with loneliness. But loneliness is emptiness, while aloneness is fullness. Loneliness is the craving for someone else's presence. Aloneness is the realization that your own presence is enough. When you embrace aloneness, you begin to see that you are not lacking. You are already complete. From this completeness, strength is born. You stop searching for others to fix you, and instead you nurture the power you already hold. This is why aloneness is so essential. It strips away illusions of dependence and awakens the truth that you are stronger than you ever thought. To be alone is to practice courage. It is easy to follow the crowd, to hide within the comfort of noise, and to let others shape your identity. But to stand apart and claim your solitude requires bravery. You must be willing to face silence without fear. You must be willing to be misunderstood, for not everyone values aloneness. Yet, in this very courage lies your strength. Every time you choose to walk alone, instead of following blindly, you grow stronger. Every time you sit in silence instead of drowning in noise, you gain clarity. Aloneness reveals that the strongest warriors are not those who shout the loudest, but those who can sit quietly with themselves and still feel whole. Strength gained in aloneness is unshakable because it does not depend on external conditions. If your confidence is based on others' approval, it will vanish when that approval fades. But if your confidence is forged in solitude, nothing can take it from you. The storms of life may come, but they cannot uproot you. The voices of critics may rise, but they cannot break you. Aloneness trains you to stand on solid ground. It teaches you that strength is not about control over others. It is about mastery of yourself. This mastery, born in solitude, is what makes you truly powerful in any situation. Think of the greatest mountains. They stand alone, unmoved by the winds, untouched by the storms. Their power lies in their solitude. In the same way, when you learn to be alone, you become like a mountain, still, grounded, unshakable. People may come and go, circumstances may change, but your strength remains because it is rooted in your own being. This is the beauty of aloneness. It grounds you in yourself. You become your own foundation, and no one can take that away. Such strength is not loud, but it is enduring. It carries you through life's uncertainties with calm determination. Aloneness also sharpens your focus. When you are constantly surrounded by others, their voices pull you in many directions. But in solitude, you hear your own voice clearly. You begin to recognize what truly matters to you. This clarity is a form of strength because it keeps you aligned with your purpose. Instead of being tossed by every wave of opinion, you become like a steady ship guided by your own compass. Aloneness teaches you that the strongest path is not the one chosen by everyone else, but the one that resonates deeply with your heart. With this focus, you move forward with unwavering strength. In the stillness of aloneness, you also discover resilience. Life will test you. People will leave, situations will crumble, and plans will fail. But when you have practiced standing alone, you do not collapse under loss. You have already learned that your worth is not tied to anyone else's presence. You have already built an inner fortress. This resilience is true power. It allows you to rise again and again, no matter how many times life knocks you down. Those who fear aloneness remain fragile. Those who embrace it become unbreakable. Aloneness is not just about enduring silence. It is about transforming it into strength. It is a sacred space where you listen to your inner wisdom, where you heal, and where you gather the energy to face the world again. In solitude, you are free to rebuild yourself, free from judgment and expectation. This freedom is empowering. It allows you to redefine who you are, to shed what no longer serves you, and to grow into someone stronger than before. The strength you discover here is not temporary. It becomes a permanent part of your character. In the end, aloneness reveals that you were never as weak as you thought. It shows you that you do not need constant companionship to survive, nor endless validation to feel valuable. You are already enough. The world may try to convince you that power comes from numbers, from crowds, from influence. But the truth is simpler. Real strength is quiet, rooted, and unshaken. And it is found when you stand alone, unafraid of silence, unafraid of yourself. Aloneness reveals this truth: you are stronger than any obstacle, stronger than any loss, stronger than you ever imagined. To embrace solitude is to embrace your true strength. In the modern world, noise surrounds us at every moment. Conversations, notifications, opinions, and endless distractions fill the air until silence becomes a stranger. Yet silence is not emptiness, it is nourishment. When you step away from the constant noise, you begin to hear something deeper, the voice of your own soul. Silence is a bridge that connects you to clarity. In quiet moments, the fog of confusion lifts, and the truth of your thoughts becomes visible. Without silence, you are pulled in countless directions, but with silence, the path becomes clear. It is in stillness that wisdom whispers, and in quietness that vision sharpens. Silence is often feared because it removes the layers of distraction we use to hide from ourselves. But when you sit with silence, you discover that it is not an enemy, but a teacher. It allows you to observe your thoughts without judgment, to witness your emotions without reacting to them. In silence, the mind untangles itself, and clarity rises like the morning sun. This inner clarity reveals what is real and what is illusion, what is important and what is trivial. The more you embrace silence, the more you realize that it is not an absence of sound, but the presence of understanding. The world teaches us to be loud, to constantly speak, to always express, yet true wisdom is often found in the ability to be silent. In silence, you gain the discipline to listen, not just to others, but to yourself. Listening is an act of strength, and silence is the soil in which it grows. When you stop speaking for the sake of speaking, you begin to hear the depth of your own inner voice. Clarity is born from listening, not from noise. Silence sharpens perception, allowing you to notice truths that would otherwise be drowned out by distraction. This is why silence is powerful. It clears away confusion and strengthens awareness. Clarity gained from silence also strengthens decision-making. When your mind is noisy, choices feel overwhelming, and fear clouds judgment. But when you retreat into silence, the answer often reveals itself without effort. Silence cuts through the chaos, leaving behind only what truly matters. This is why the most powerful decisions are not made in haste or noise, but in stillness. In silence, you connect to your deeper intuition, a guidance system that speaks only when given space to be heard. To practice silence is to give your intuition room to breathe, and in return, it gives you clarity beyond logic. Silence is not passive. It is active cultivation of strength. It takes courage to sit quietly when the world demands constant activity. Yet, Those who practice silence discover that it empowers them more than constant speaking ever could. In silence, the energy that is usually scattered outward through words is preserved inward, becoming strength, becoming clarity. This is why silence often feels healing. It gathers your scattered energy, centers it, and transforms it into focused power. From this place of focus, you are able to see with greater clarity, unclouded by the weight of external noise. Think of a lake on a windy day. The water is restless, reflecting nothing clearly. But when the wind calms, the surface becomes still, and suddenly the reflection of the sky is revealed. This is the mind. When filled with noise and chatter, clarity cannot be found. But in silence, the surface of the mind becomes calm, and truth reflects itself without distortion. Silence is the stillness that reveals what has always been there, hidden beneath the turbulence. Without silence, you see only fragments. With silence, you see the whole. This is the clarity that transforms confusion into understanding. Silence also deepens your connection to the present moment. When noise surrounds you, your mind is scattered between past regrets and future anxieties. But in silence, you are brought fully into the now. The present moment is where clarity lives, and silence is the doorway that leads you there. In this state, you realize that clarity is not something outside of you, it is already within. Silence simply clears the path so you can recognize it. To live with inner clarity is to live in alignment with the present, free from the illusions that noise creates. Many fear silence because it reveals truths they would rather avoid. In silence, you may face your insecurities, your doubts, and your hidden fears. Yet, it is only by facing these shadows that clarity can emerge. Silence brings them to light, not to harm you, but to free you. Once you see these truths clearly, they lose their power over you. This is why silence can feel uncomfortable at first. It strips away the layers of distraction that keep you blind. But if you endure the discomfort, clarity arrives, and with it comes freedom. Clarity born from silence not only strengthens the mind, but also refines the spirit. It helps you align with your deeper values, reminding you of what truly matters. In a noisy world, it is easy to forget your purpose and be swayed by external voices. But silence brings you back to your center. It reminds you that you are not here to follow the noise of the crowd, but to live in truth. In this way, silence is not just clarity, it is direction. It points you toward authenticity and helps you walk a path that is truly your own. Ultimately, silence is the master key to clarity because it reconnects you with yourself. It shows you that within you lies all the guidance you need. When you embrace silence, you are no longer dependent on the noise of others to shape your life. You become guided by your own clarity, strengthened by your own inner voice. Silence reveals that true wisdom is not found in constant speaking, but in listening. It reminds you that stillness is not empty, it is full of clarity, full of power, full of truth. To practice silence is to uncover the inner clarity that was within you all along. Solitude is often misunderstood as emptiness, but in truth, it is a sacred space of transformation. When you step into solitude, you step away from the constant pull of external demands and enter a realm where your spirit can breathe freely. It is here, in this uncluttered space, that refinement begins. Just as fire purifies metal by burning away impurities, solitude purifies the spirit by stripping away distractions. In the quiet of being alone, you confront your raw self, not the version shaped by expectations, but the essence of who you truly are. This confrontation is the beginning of refinement. The spirit is like a blade. Constant contact with the noise and chaos of the world dulls its edge. Solitude is the sharpening stone. It restores sharpness, clarity, and precision to your inner being. In solitude, you are not influenced by the voices of others telling you who you should be. Instead, you begin to hear your own voice clearly, and with each moment of stillness, the spirit grows more refined. A dull blade cannot cut through obstacles, but a refined spirit, polished by solitude, can face challenges with calm strength and unwavering clarity. Refinement requires discipline, and solitude provides the perfect ground for it. When alone, you are forced to sit with yourself without escape. This teaches patience. It teaches restraint. It teaches you how to channel your energy inward instead of scattering it outward. These qualities refine the spirit, making it calm and steady. Just as water shapes stone over time, solitude shapes your character, smoothing the rough edges of impatience, pride, and fear. Every moment spent in solitude is an act of polishing the spirit, an act of becoming more centered, more authentic, more whole. In solitude, you learn to embrace silence, and silence itself becomes a teacher of refinement. Without constant chatter, you begin to notice the subtleties of life, the rhythm of your breath, the beating of your heart, the quiet flow of your thoughts. These small observations awaken you to the depth of existence. Such awareness is the fruit of solitude. It refines the spirit by cultivating mindfulness. You are no longer living on the surface, reacting to everything around you. Instead, you are living with awareness, deeply rooted in the present moment. This is true refinement, being fully alive, fully awake. The spirit also requires solitude for healing. Wounds caused by betrayal, rejection, or failure often remain hidden beneath the business of life. Solitude brings these wounds into the light, not to harm you, but to heal you. When you are alone, you finally give yourself permission to process pain, to release it, and to rebuild from within. This healing refines the spirit, making it resilient and compassionate. Just as scars on the body tell a story of survival, the spirit refined through solitude carries a quiet strength, born from healing and endurance. Solitude refines the spirit by aligning it with truth. In the presence of others, we often wear masks to fit expectations. But when you are alone, the masks fall away. You cannot pretend in solitude. You cannot lie to yourself when silence is your only companion. In this honesty, the spirit is refined because it is confronted with authenticity. You begin to see who you really are, your strengths, your weaknesses, your desires, your fears. Facing this truth is uncomfortable, but it is essential. A spirit that embraces truth is a spirit that becomes pure, steady, and unshakable. The refinement of the spirit through solitude also reveals clarity of purpose. When surrounded by constant noise, it is easy to forget why you exist, to lose yourself in the demands of others. But in solitude, distractions fade and your true purpose emerges. You begin to see what truly matters, what path aligns with your essence, and what pursuits are merely illusions. This clarity gives direction to your life. It makes your spirit strong, purposeful, and focused. A refined spirit does not wander aimlessly. It walks with intention, guided by an inner compass awakened in solitude. Solitude also teaches humility. In isolation, you are reminded of your smallness in the vastness of life. You see that the universe continues without you, that time flows with or without your presence. Yet, instead of making you feel insignificant, this realization refines your spirit with humility. You no longer seek constant recognition or validation because you understand that your worth is not tied to external approval. This humility is strength. It refines the spirit by grounding it, teaching it to move with quiet confidence rather than loud arrogance. Such refinement makes your presence powerful without the need for display. Through solitude, the spirit also learns balance. Life pulls us constantly between extremes, work and rest, giving and receiving, speaking and listening. Solitude creates a space where balance can be restored. In stillness, you recognize when you have given too much, when you have neglected yourself, when you have drifted away from harmony. Solitude is the reset button for the spirit. It refines you by bringing you back into alignment, teaching you moderation, patience, and balance. A refined spirit is not rigid, it is balanced, moving through life with grace and steadiness. Ultimately, solitude refines the spirit by making you whole. In the quiet of being alone, you realize that nothing outside of you can complete you. The strength, The clarity, the purpose, the peace you seek are already within. You only need solitude to uncover them. A refined spirit is not dependent on the world for identity. It stands rooted, calm and radiant, shining from within. This is the gift of solitude. It transforms you into someone unshakable, someone aligned with truth, someone free. To embrace solitude is to allow your spirit to be polished until it reflects the highest version of yourself. Independence is not simply about standing apart from others. It is about reclaiming ownership of your life. Too often, people confuse dependence with comfort. They rely on others for validation, for direction, for happiness, until they forget how to walk alone. But dependence is a silent chain, and chains can never give freedom. Independence is the act of breaking those chains. It is realizing that you have the strength to shape your own destiny. With independence, you are not bound by the shifting opinions of others. You are free to live by your values, free to follow your own rhythm, free to stand tall in the truth of who you are. Independence creates freedom because it returns power to its rightful place within you. Freedom is not given, it is claimed. And it can only be claimed when you stop outsourcing your strength to others. Independence begins when you trust yourself enough to make your own choices. This trust is the seed of freedom. Without it, you will always be trapped in hesitation, waiting for others to tell you who you should be. With it, you become your own guide. Independence is not arrogance, it is self-reliance. It is not isolation, it is empowerment. When you rely on yourself, you no longer fear being abandoned or betrayed because your foundation rests within. This unshakable foundation is the birthplace of freedom. Dependence is heavy. It weighs down the spirit. When you seek approval in every step, you are never free because your happiness belongs to someone else's hands. Independence, however, lifts the weight. It gives you wings. It allows you to move without waiting for permission. In this movement lies freedom, the ability to choose, to create, to express without fear of rejection. Independence liberates your voice, your choices, and your dreams. It makes you realize that freedom is not about living without limits, but about living without unnecessary chains. And the strongest chains are always those we place on ourselves. Independence breaks them. Independence creates freedom because it teaches you self-discipline. Without independence, freedom becomes chaos, a reckless pursuit of desires without responsibility. But true independence is balanced. It is guided by discipline. It is the ability to manage your own life without depending on others to carry your burden. This discipline is what transforms independence into real freedom. Freedom without discipline leads to destruction, but freedom born from independence leads to strength. When you govern yourself, you are no longer ruled by impulse or external control. You live with responsibility and choice combined, and that combination is the essence of lasting freedom. Consider the difference between borrowed strength and cultivated strength. Borrowed strength makes you dependent. It ties your freedom to another person's presence. But cultivated strength, developed in solitude, discipline, and independence, makes you free forever. No one can take it from you. Independence is this cultivated strength. It creates freedom because it makes you unshakable, self-sufficient, and whole. Even when support disappears, you remain standing. This resilience is true liberation. It frees you from the fear of loss because you know you are enough on your own. Independence gives you the gift of being your own foundation. Independence also frees you from conformity. When you rely on the crowd, you are forced to follow its noise. You suppress your own truth to fit in, and in doing so, you lose your freedom. But when you are independent, you no longer need to follow blindly. You listen to your own wisdom. You live by your own principles. This freedom is not rebellion for the sake of rebellion. It is authenticity. It is the courage to walk your own path, even if no one else walks beside you. Independence creates freedom because it allows you to live in alignment with your essence instead of the expectations of others. the freedom created by independence is also a freedom from fear. Most fear arises from the thought of losing someone's approval, someone's support, or someone's presence. But when you have cultivated independence, you no longer fear this loss. You know that your worth is not tied to what others give or withhold. This realization dissolves fear and replaces it with peace. Independence frees you from living under the shadow of others' opinions. It gives you the courage to stand tall, to take risks, and to follow dreams without hesitation. In this freedom, you find both courage and serenity. Independence also teaches you the value of responsibility. Many chase freedom without realizing that it cannot exist without responsibility. If your choices always depend on others, then your freedom is an illusion. True freedom requires owning the consequences of your actions, walking your path with accountability. Independence is this responsibility in practice. It frees you from blame and excuses because you no longer depend on others to determine your outcomes. You realize that your life is your creation. This realization is not a burden, it is liberation. With independence, every choice becomes a step toward authentic freedom. Independence creates freedom not only for yourself but also for your relationships. When you are independent, you no longer cling to others out of neediness or fear. Instead, you connect from strength, not weakness. This makes your relationships healthier, freer, and more genuine. Independence frees love from dependency and transforms it into choice. It frees friendship from expectation and makes it an act of mutual respect. Independence, therefore, creates freedom both within and around you. It allows you to move through life with dignity, giving others the gift of your presence without chains attached. In the end, independence is not about standing alone forever. It is about standing whole. It is the realization that you do not need others to complete you, though you may choose to walk with them. Independence creates freedom because it allows you to live as your true self, unshaken by circumstances, unbound by chains. It gives you the power to walk away from what is false and the strength to embrace what is true. This is the highest form of freedom, the ability to live authentically, fearlessly, and fully, guided by your own spirit. Independence is not just a path to freedom, it is freedom itself.